Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing this issue with Jamb, and all I could think in my head is the I don't want to say Nigerian factors. I'm really struggling not to say the Nigerian factor because the truth is that all this goes back to we the people. And I remember during the time where in the banking sector, there was a time that we used to line up in the banks for hours. You keep going back and forth. But now there are ATM machines, there's auto teller machines such that you don't need to go to the bank unless you really have to. Private sector came in with solutions. Yeah. It wasn't government that brought in these machines. Private sector came in and said, how do I support this? And now they're making money out of it. Yeah. Other sectors, we've seen telecoms, we've seen other sectors. In the educational sector, you've seen, as you said, the leadership have tried to decentralize it such that we have CBTs across. But we need more people. Yeah. We need more credible Nigerians to be able to, you know what, I am giving you 10 CBTs instead of building all these houses that we're doing, all these parties that we're always constantly doing. We need Nigerians to really come out and say, these are the problems we have. Because the truth is that we need credible Nigerians to say, you know what can we do to support? Education is such an important part of our development. Yeah. So we've seen other sectors grow, but how can we support Jamb? That's what that's how I think. That's the point
I was trying to make the point that, you know, we see the effort of Jamb to develop over time. But the role of parents, because I hear a lot of things happen this time. I heard of the young girl who went missing somewhere from a center, and I was wondering, why was she allowed to travel alone? Yes, that's the fact. If she's not going to school, even if your child is going to school for the first time, somebody ought to have gone with her, especially when they are 16, in their 16s, under 18, and they've never traveled before. We've seen a lot of, in the past, one girl was murdered somewhere in Ogun State by an Okada rider who decided to rape her on her center. So we've had enough stories to make parents worry enough. If your child center is not immediately in front of your house, you ought to she ought to have a guardian or a family member travel with her. That's the way it is, because we will never send our children to some places on their own, even though it is within our state. But centers, we're now expecting Jamb not only to provide exam writing materials, organize an exam, also to organize security from places of rest to the centers. You know, somebody was giving, sorry, you want to take a call?
Yes, Lily has been holding from Bagada. Good morning, Lily, you're live. Oh, I'm sorry, I lost that call.
So when you buy early your Jamb form, you get the benefit of a free center. When centers are full, they start to look for centers outside. That's the experience of most of the Jamb candidates who enlisted. That they start to look for those who bought late, who are registering late, towards the end, and the extensions. They had to now post them to other places. So these provisions are done. Parents also must make provisions. Guardians must also be guardians. Most of them are under 18 children writing these exams. We have just advocated that they should be allowed for those even under 16 to write the exams. So do you send such a child alone to an exam center? I don't understand.
Okay, so
the excuse we're doing.
So why we're talking about this for me this year is because it was widespread issues. There seemed to be a particular problem this 2025. All the issues with the examinations, the number of children that were on the road trying to get to, it just seemed quite huge. And I'm looking at it and I hear that actually this particular year we had over 2 million candidates compared to last year, which was about 1.9. So even Jamb recognized that this was a huge number. But you recognize this huge number from registration when it happens. So for me, it's about planning again. So
can I pause you for a second? Lily's back, and because he might be a student. Good morning, Lily. Are you there?
Good morning.
Morning, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I want to contribute to this talk about Jamb.
Yes.
Mario, it's so unfortunate. It's quite, annoying, because I went with my daughter to the center, and it was terrible. Why would Jamb be, saying that they have to do accreditation, biometric by 6:30 a.m. and we got there. The students did not go for the exam until 4 p.m. 4 p.m. It was really bad. Okay, why would Jamb?
The students did not start the exam until 4 p.m.
From 6:30.
Yes. From Lagos, you have to send some people to have their center at Kaduna. Kaduna. Yes.
Kaduna. From Lagos.
From Lagos. Some of the parents said they could not allow their children to go. It was really bad. So if Nyma is saying that there's an improvement, I disagree. I'm sorry. I disagree. There's no improvement. Well, they have their details when these children were buying their forms. They fill forms, they fill details of these children. Why are they still asking them to come and do biometric? Why didn't they keep them some days behind before the examination day?
Yeah.
That's my contribution. It's really bad.
Thank you. You're talking about planning.
Yes, so I feel that, you know, this is in line with what I was saying. There was a huge surge in the numbers this particular year, and I feel that just from the registration, you understand that you have maybe beyond capacity the number of children, and the planning should have started from then. Maybe you'd have done it in batches, and then, you know, avoided a lot of the issues. Now, I know that Nyma, you know, trying to show how the Jamb has improved. I agree that they have declared profits. So there's one thing to declare profits. That means you have made monetary gain. And there's another thing to declare improvement structurally and in the system. So it's not enough that you have more children just paying for these Jamb forms and you're able to now raise money. Yes, there was a time that Jamb was in deficit. Government was constantly supporting it, but now it's able to support itself as well as you know, make profit. But it does not make sense if that profit cannot be put into the system in such a way that it's improved for the children. I mean, that's the whole aim of Jamb, really. It's not for making profit for profit's sake. If you make the profit, that's just additional, but not at the cost of the students having to go to Jamb centers. And if you say, oh, you should follow your children to Jamb centers, I agree. If you can, you know, it makes sense. But what would you tell the people that put their children in a car and they passed on? Oh, you should have gotten a special driver for them. You know, there'll always be issues. What would be better is, you know their names, you know where they live, you know their area. To make it safe for them, put them in areas closer to their home so that children are not, especially as you want them to be there at 6:30 a.m. And look at, this exam started at 4 p.m. What time did it end? So if they had finished, they were now supposed to find their way back home, however long the distance is. I just feel it was really poor planning and it could have been avoided.
Okay, let me take Richard. Good morning, Richard. Thanks for calling.
Can I try to reply?
Yes, please.
So, I completely understand the issue you've mentioned, but I already explained that early registration, there were preferences. You also raised the issue of about 2 million subscribers for this year's Jamb. Of course, that's a huge number and a huge planning will be involved. When priority has been given to the early registrants, they will move on and settle other people. And you know one thing, if a person were to buy a Jamb form and they were told all centers were full, who asked Jamb why did he make special arrangements? When special arrangement now means that the child is taken out of state or out of area, it now falls on the parents to see if they insist that yes, exam must be written, to see what provisions they can also make to ensure the child writes the exam and writes the exam safely. That's on one side. We also talked about 4 p.m. I still find it hard to believe the Jamb exams started at 4 p.m. If it did start at 4 p.m., it would be because of any other error that could have happened. We're talking CBT exams. One of the candidates I wrote, Ali, was registered Ali back then for Jamb, and he went for his registration. And anytime he's taking his biodata, they won't find a fingerprint. So they struggle to register him. Then on the exam day, they struggle to recognize him into center. We wrote to Jamb. He on his own, he just forfeited the whole exam because of the stress of going to Abuja and all of that. But I wanted to see him have a university education, so we kept putting our head inside. He was tired of, he said, until the next day, see, even for bank, I always get problem with fingerprint. I don't tire. We wanted him to go to school. So we know some of these things happen in exam centers where the system fails for a particular candidate and you're still calling on the organizers or the supervisors to ensure that, you know, your system is set up. But I don't think Jamb would deliberately delay students without any issue and start an exam at 4 p.m.
Okay, Paul from Egbeda, thanks for calling. I don't know what's having the phone lines. See, the problem I have is what Tokwe said earlier. That how can we having this kind of problem, which is the same thing you had 20-some years ago? Like, who is solving the problem for Jamb? As you said, yes, we've seen some improvement, no doubt, but the problem has not been solved. There are still issues of even the incorrectness in the Jamb papers. There's a lot of issues that are saying that blank papers, no diagrams, no incorrect answers. They're still having that issue today. So aside from the logistics problem, aside from the planning problem, there's still issues of the fundamental exam question itself.
Like, those issues were not there then.
It's like saying, no, some of them were there then. I experienced them then. It's like saying that you are a dentist and you are struggling with doing script scaling and polishing. Like that's like the basic, that's what you're expected. Every dentist is expected to be able to do scaling and polishing. So if you are an examination board, you must be able to put out the questions. There shouldn't be any issue with the question. There might be issue with how people get to the venue. There might be issues with every other thing, but questions, you are an examination body. Question is your thing. So one, we shouldn't have issues with questions, whatever the issue is. And I feel like because we don't have consequences, there are no penalties, strong enough penalties. Like when we have issues like this, people should voluntarily, too much on video, not on video, too much on Igbo film. Somebody should just come out and say, I'm resigning. Like I would not on my watch, as someone who is credible and conducting exams for many years, have this kind of thing happen while I am there. I feel I dropped ball, I disappointed myself. I would resign, let investigations take place.
Do you know why that won't happen?
I would love that to happen.
Okay.
But you will tell me why it doesn't happen.
I'll tell you, just my own thinking. I don't think that would happen because it will mean that a lot of people would have to face the consequences. So if, let's say, Jamb says, see, we have a huge number of candidates this year, and this is what we need from government, and government does not play their part. So who are we going to punish? It's likely that you punish a whole lot of people, even outside of Jamb. I feel this our lack of, the lack of planning and our poor system of just doing anything. It's not just a Jamb issue. It's just a Nigerian issue. I know you did not want to use the word, be the Nigerian thing, but we do have that issue where we don't plan. We just hope, okay, there are more people. I was telling you earlier during banter that, someone, because of someone's mistake, it cost me something. We don't think that far ahead in Nigeria. We just, we had a little over 1.9 million in 2024, and we have over 2 million in 2025. People are not going to, don't worry, we'll sort it out, But it should mean, if we do have this number, that means we need centers. We need to make sure we need more staff. We need to make sure that people who are going through this, we have more people that can go through it. If you had 10 people before, if you had 20 people, or if you have 100 staff that were able to go through the papers, to vet it, to make sure everything is right, and then you have a huge increase in your number, your 10 staff will not work, your 20 will not work. So you have to think about increasing those numbers. And then if you go to government, if you're a parastatal that depends on government and ask them for funding, and the government says, well, there's nothing we can do, go and sort yourself out, then where's the problem? Then also, if you now say that you're a profit-making agency, how did you use your profit now to just make the system better and make it easier for students?
Let me take Alfonso's been holding for a minute. Good morning, Alfonso. I'm sorry, I think I've let me let you jump in.
May I recognize that Jamb has other remedial processes. My cousin in Abuja was made to rewrite her exam for extremely high results, and they created a proper exam center for her in Abuja at the Jamb headquarters. Come and rewrite the exam the way and they gave her new questions. So they have remedial processes. Also, for people like the Ali I mentioned, they did a remedial process. He refused to go to Abuja to write the exam. So they have several remedial processes. All this feedback, all these inadequacies, Jamb usually would first of all investigate them for the authentic stories, those whose centers and issues and glitches happened truly at their centers. When all of those are dealt with, they usually will have remedial exams for them. And I hope that, that is done in the course of days to come. And I want to suggest to Jamb, if for whatever reason, you are oversubscribed in your exams and you do not have the machinery part-time, you can either do them in batches, because I think they've done that before, where they do in a week, they'll be doing some set of numbers for the Monday, the Tuesday, unlike the way we used to all crowd major exams for Saturdays and Sundays during WAEC. They used to do them in days, in batches, unlike the way Jamb was done for us. So a Jamb exam, they usually declare a week for it. So some people write on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Some people write Monday morning, Monday evening, and they can do that. Yeah. They can also, in worst case scenario, return subscriptions to some candidates. We're over full. Early people have taken over the slots. We're thinking of safety. Come out with a good PR and explain to people why you cannot post somebody from Lagos to Kaduna to write an exam like the caller that called said. We cannot. Yeah. We do not want to be responsible for that candidate. Let Nigerians come and say, no, we want we will take our children to Kaduna to write the exam because we don't want to miss this year's admission. Let it be a full conversation.
I would like that. The Jamb,
I
Jamb is online. I mean, I saw some of their messages. So I know they are responding to people online, but it would be great for us to have somebody from Jamb hopefully give some clarity, because it's quite painful that some children had to die as a result of these logistics.
No, it's not, Morayo, every time. When children are going for exams, this happens. When children are going to admission,
we should
going
learn
to school,
from it, Nyma. That's my point. We should learn from these things. It shouldn't be happening. The reason why there's progress in life is because we take lessons from the past. So we can't keep having that conversation in 2025. That's my worry. Who is fixing that problem?
I just want to say that I know that we discuss things like this. We discuss it almost every year when this thing happens. But there are several complaints on social media.
Yeah.
Social media, Instagram, Twitter, X, Facebook, is not a platform to officially tender your complaints about Jamb. Unless you make it formal, it can't be addressed by the body. We can discuss it like this, but if you are a parent, if you are a student, you wrote the exams, there were issues with your examination, or you had challenges writing, things were missing, document what went wrong and submit a proper claim to Jamb, because that is what will help Jamb to understand what the problem is, and not say they're just chasing clout on Instagram. It is influencers that are carrying the story up. Let those involved personally, please let Jamb know officially what went wrong, so that Jamb can understand in clear terms and then know how to chart the course towards improvement. And then
this was
it's going to go on a very short.
So widespread, I'm sure.
I'm hoping that more Nigerians can call him, because the phone lines obviously having issues. But if you can send us messages on Twitter and on X, on X and on YouTube, we'd like to hear your thoughts, so that we can get the Nigerian, the Jamb office to actually get the feedback from Nigerians. So please, we're going to go on a short break. When we come back, we'll try to take as many messages as possible, so that we can have the feedback of real stories, real experiences, so that people can tell us what happened, and then we can take it from there. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.